Draymond has to go with 5. Pass back to Curry. Curry's fumbles it, gets it, checks the clock with 3, with 2. Backs up, shoots a fadeaway rainbow 3. Got it! Oh, he hit it! It was a circus shot by Curry. It had no chance. It had no chance of going in, but he nailed it, and the Warriors lead by 14.
This is The Drive. East Carolina Sports Show on your ride home. That sounds from last night's Game 2 NBA Finals. Golden State Warriors Radio Network.
I really, really like that you are coming in with the song The Pretender by the Foo Fighters, because that is absolutely what these Cavaliers are. Nothing but pretenders.
Yeah, that was just sheer coincidence, huh? Man, I want to go back to something we were talking about earlier. The Game 1, and I know everybody, let's face it, Game 1 was way more entertaining than Game 2 was. Like, and it's okay to admit that, is it not? It's okay to admit that. Sometimes a game's more entertaining than other games.
And last night really wasn't a terrible game, if we're being honest. I mean, kept me interested till the end.
Yeah, and again, you saw many times the Cavs cut that lead and get it down to 5, get it down to, just couldn't get close enough. And I think, I do think that sometimes, despite the fact that they move on and there's a Game 2, that Game 1 and the way it ended, the frustration, the way it went down, it is a shame. But let's face it, 4 seconds gone wrong can haunt the hours afterwards, and that's what's happening. I mean, I know it's as easy as people saying, well, it's Game 2, we've moved on. We've already put Game 1 behind us. Maybe you have put it behind you to some degree, but it's still there. Every time that LeBron James penetrates in the paint, kicks it out to Kevin Love, who's wide open, and he misses. Or just insert a teammate. I just used Kevin Love.
I was going to say,
point.
don't use Kevin Love. If there's anybody on this Cavs team that deserves some love, it's Kevin Love. Point your finger at Kyle Korver,
but you know what I mean?
Or J.R. Smith, whose incredible rebound performance from the Game 1 blunder was nothing other than 5 points on 9 shots. Kyle Korver took 1 3-pointer last night. 1 3-pointer. Steph Curry made 9, took 17. Kyle Korver took 1 3-pointer in 17 minutes.
That's his whole job.
It's his whole job. It's the whole thing.
How's he not?
I don't know. I don't know.
But again, as I was saying, I know I've moved on, but we've got to move on. It's Game 2. Yeah, you can say that, but that moment, the 4 seconds, J.R. Smith completely forgetting what's going on, Tyronn Lue not calling the timeout, nothing else is going right. Overtime was even worse. It magnifies in your brain if you're LeBron James right now. I mean, he looks around and goes, how can I win? How can I mean, we look at his performance from last night. Well, we're going to need a little bit more out of LeBron James to get a win. Oh, well, what do you want? He had 51 in Game 1 and couldn't pull it off.
Right. Zaza Pachulia last night had more points than J.R. Smith and Kyle Korver combined. He took 10 less shots and played 45 fewer minutes. Zaza Pachulia outscored J.R. Smith and Kyle Korver while playing 45 less minutes. He played 3.5 minutes, scored 6 points last night. That doesn't make any sense to me. I like that you're talking about this whole idea, though, that 4 seconds can drastically change the series and the fate of everything so much. Are the Golden State Warriors the best team in history when it comes to demoralizing plays? Because take, for example, at the end of the third quarter last night, Jordan Bell steals an inbounds pass from the Cavaliers. The very next second, Steph Curry hits that shot on that sound that you played coming in where he's falling away, buzzer beating at the end of the third quarter with Kevin Love in his face, buries the 3-pointer. Then about midway through the fourth quarter, he hits a 4-point play, nails a 3-pointer, gets fouled, hits the free throw. I have never seen a team so capable of demoralizing another team so quickly because, like you said, several times last night where the Cavaliers cut it within 6, cut it within 5. It was like, okay, maybe they're going to make a run. and then Golden State just goes down and rips their heart out in some way on the other end. I don't think I've ever seen a team do that as consistently as this Golden State team does, and some of that obviously has to do with the fact that there's 4 All-Stars sitting there, and you have guys like Sean Livingston, who is 9 of 9 in this series for 20 points. Sean Livingston still hasn't missed a shot in this NBA Finals yet, but the best team in history, I feel like I have to say it, the demoralizing plays.
Yeah, and it goes back to the fact that we're talking about with all the All-Stars, because you can make every like if you take a single possession and you're Cleveland or anybody and you do everything right, switch, continue the defensive pressure, you're doing everything right, keeping a man on the ball. But the problem is they've got 4 All-Stars on that team, so they pass it, they pass it, they pass it, they pass it. It's go, you know. We always talk about that whole system about the ball finds the open shot, and a lot of times that works great too with teams that maybe don't have the kind of talent that Golden State does. But let's face it, there have been teams that have had 4 All-Stars on their team. That's happened before. The trick is getting them to play together, and so when they play, when they're on, as you were talking about, I don't know how you beat them. I don't know how you beat them, because the one mistake you make, an All-Star has the ball. Livingston, you were talking about Iguodala's being out. I'm sure many of us think Iguodala and Livingston could be at other places, being in a feature role. Those guys could be All-Stars at other places. You know,
Iguodala won an NBA Finals MVP
yes.
just 3-4 years ago, whatever it was.
But again, they're just so good. I mean, up and down. The roster is unbelievable.
What did you think about J.R. Smith getting the MVP chance last night and the standing ovation when he finally came out of the game at the end? I mean, it's just savage, because J.R. Smith strikes me as the kind of guy who would feed off of the boos from another crowd. But I think if you've got that same crowd chanting your MVP for you as you're shooting free throws, that's really gotta screw with your head in some serious way. I guess just back to the demoralization though, because one of the things that I keep picking up on is it seems like Cleveland had fight in them last night. For the first 3.5 quarters of the game last night, there was nothing about what I saw on the court that made me think, wow, these guys have just given up. Like, game 1 just demoralized them too much. They've just given up. But then Golden State goes on these runs. They have another one of those brilliant third quarters that this team does better than anybody else. They have one of these fourth quarters where I want to say Steph Curry was like 5 for 5 from three-point land in the third quarter last night. Once it gets to that point, and I'm going to be really curious to pay attention to this same thing in game 3, it seems like with about 5 or 6 minutes left in the game, they have, are you, like, when you play an online video game, Call of Duty, even Madden, whatever it is, sometimes you're beating a guy so bad that they just disconnect and you get a little notification on the screen and it says, opponent has left the match. That is the feeling that this Cavaliers team gives me a lot of times in the last 5 or 6 minutes of the game, and I think that's what happens to everybody when they face this Golden State team, because you get to the point and you think you're in it, and then, oh, never mind. They have KD and Klay Thompson and Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Sean Livingston. I mean, Zaza Pachulia putting in quality minutes at the end of the game last night. It's fun to watch. A lot of people have been hating on it. A lot of people hate on this Warriors team, but I really enjoy watching this squad.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Cleveland actually had a Kyrie Irving, I think if they had some better bench pieces, it's not to say that they couldn't compete with this Warriors team. The Warriors are great. There's no doubt. But we've brought up the Cavaliers' dysfunction. That they are not, despite having arguably the best player in basketball right now in LeBron James, they're just so deficient, and he doesn't and can't trust the people around him. And you know, it's bad to say. I mean, I'm with you. I think Kevin Love's been pretty good. I think Tristan Thompson, to be honest, I mean, I can tell you, Tristan Thompson has owned up in this finals and is playing hard and is doing, the best he can. But I mean, you're right. The Corvers, the J.R. Smiths, those guys have just been, absolutely terrible. I know we got to play this, right? Do
you feel like a sense of helplessness out there when you can't defend them?
No. He did a good job. I mean, when I'm switching on him, I'm guarding him, so I'm never helpless with no guy in the NBA.
Somebody asked Tristan Thompson if he felt helpless guarding Steph Curry.
Klay Thompson, but yeah, same thing.
Yes. Tristan Thompson. So Tristan, Klay Thompson, two different guys. He also, Tristan Thompson, done with the refs.
I'm over the referee. At the end of the day, if you don't give effort and you don't play hard, you never give yourself a chance to win. At the end of the day, you can control, you can control. You know what I'm saying? So just go out and play. Go out and play. Miss or make. You think you got fouled. You think it's a travel. You got to get back on defense and communicate. And that's what Golden State wants. They want you to hang back, complain to the refs, and complain because they're gonna come down and knock a three in your face. So we can't be worried about that. Miss or make. We got to get back on the defensive end.
So is he going to get in trouble for that?
No, he's not going to get any trouble because he kind of walked it back. He said the whole, no matter what the call is, you have to get back. But
he did say, I'm over the refs. Blankety blank 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 refs.
Right. The person who's driving me crazy when it comes to talking about the refs is actually Jeff Van Gundy, working for ESPN, calling the games. I've never seen somebody so biased calling a basketball game before. It seems like he is just blatantly out against the Golden State Warriors in every single call. And there were some calls. Most notably, I think the one that people are upset about was the non-foul call against against Steph Curry or Klay Thompson when LeBron James had sort of a breakaway, called a pass, didn't really have room to land, to come down. Thompson and Curry kind of took his legs out from under him. There was no foul call. There's stuff like that. But you can also look at the other side and say, okay, well, Steph Curry has attempted 4 free throws this whole entire series so far. So I think the refs are. I don't look at this series and say, okay, wow, the refs are really screwing this up. I think it's fine.
The refs are always to blame when you're losing a series because it's one other thing that every time a team's on the losing end, the refs get brought up.
Right.
And you're right. Unless other people are bringing up refs, as I was told you that the reversal of calls is about the only egregious moment I would say it's happened from a referee standpoint.
Yeah.
With the block charge in the waning moments of game 1, that's about the only time I could say, come on, refs. That's something wrong with that.
I had 2 different things that stuck out to me last night, though, sound-wise, that I really got a kick out of. Jeff Van Gundy, I don't have the sound for this one, but Jeff Van Gundy said last night there was a moment, I think it was right before halftime, where a fan sitting courtside spilled his drink. I think it was beer or whatever it was. Spilled the drink. They had to stop for a minute and go wipe it up, clean it up. Not a big deal. Jeff Van Gundy then makes the point that the rule, as we're going to talk about NBA rule changes a little bit later in the headlines, a rule change that Jeff Van Gundy would like to see put in place in the NBA is that if you're sitting sideline, you have to drink out of a sippy cup. He legitimately said that last night. I actually like that idea. I think that would be really funny to watch grown adults just surrounding an NBA game sipping out of sippy cups.
We kind of had those in Washington, D.C., those pouches that had the alcoholic drinks in them.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Could kind of go with something like that. And, listen, if adults are drinking those, they're not going to complain because there's alcohol in those. I think if you drank 2 or 3 of those, we'd have had to get a hotel room.
Right? Yeah, we would not have been making it home from D.C. that night. The other sound that I really got a kick out of last night, so if you remember, after Game 1, when LeBron James was doing his press conference and he ultimately stormed off the podium there after they were asking about J.R. Smith. Oh, did you know what J.R. Smith's mindset was at the end of the game? Blah, blah, blah. LeBron James, fed up with it, stormed off the podium, and on his way out, looked at the reporters and said, do better tomorrow. LeBron James said that to the reporters. He said, do better tomorrow because I guess, he's just fed up with everything. Last night after the game, at the end of Steve Kerr's press conference, he says this to the media.
By the way, I thought you guys were much better today. Good job.
How great is that? So, you never see that. That's part of the glory and what's so great about this Golden State Warriors team that they don't get enough credit for because they're so good on the basketball court as far as actually making plays. But the mind games and the head games that this team plays, what Draymond Green does day in and day out, sly remarks in the media like this, LeBron James heard this, and it gets under his skin. And I don't know if that's going to cause him to maybe be more reckless on the court or play harder or maybe play outside of his game, overextend himself. But you don't see teams or coaches do the trolling, I guess, that Golden State and Steve Kerr do.
Oh, absolutely. By the way, I wanted to play a couple of these. Draymond Green after last night.
I mean, he definitely had a more than decent game. You know, he played really well, but you know, you got to make things as tough as you can on him. He's already, you know, a great player. And then you give him the easy things, and he's just getting into a rhythm, and then he's dialing everything up, and at that point, there's really nothing you can do. And, you know, from the start of the game, we played with more force. And, you know, over the course of the game, I think it helped us a lot.
Now, that's him. That's Draymond Green talking about LeBron James and the difficulty of guarding. Draymond Green, the difficulty of guarding. Now, this is LeBron James on Steph Curry. Hopefully.
Every shot that he takes that goes in, he has a business of making them. That's what he does. So shouldn't be surprised or deflated at it. You know, take the ball out, move it forward, and try to execute another end.
I don't know. I'm reading into this. I mean, I think Steph Curry and LeBron James don't like each other. And I think specifically LeBron doesn't like Steph Curry. It's just amazing. I mean, Draymond Green went on and on about if you can't do this and you can't do that. This guy goes, yay, Steph Curry makes a shot. You just, take the ball out.
Oh, speaking of taking the ball out, did you see the referees inbound the ball for the Cavaliers last night?
I did.
That
see
is
that.
a thing that happened. It was a
see
routine play. LeBron was trying to stand next to the referee on the baseline to take the ball out to run it the other way, and the referee, not thinking, I guess, just inbounded it to whoever was running point.
I'm over the referee.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying.
I've never seen that before. The referee just was like, and then LeBron sort of like looked at him and he was, he waved him on like, whatever, it's fine, just play.
Yeah, man. So game 3 is Wednesday night.
Yes.
Wednesday night. We'll see if there's anything that LeBron James can do, or the Cleveland Cavaliers for that matter.
Nah, man. It's like you said earlier. If they get one, fine. But do you expect them to somehow win 4 of the next 5 games if it does happen to go 7?
No, absolutely not. Well, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. More of East Carolina Sports Show on your ride home is coming up.